He has been one of the more reliable middleweights for the UFC since his debut back at UFC 163. This tale of the tape brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Santos will be 35 in January. Kevin Holland still on the right side of 30. Holland, the taller man by 1 inch. He will have a whopping 7-inch reach advantage. All right, now to get the introductions here for this main card opener. Here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Staples Center in Los Angeles, California for UFC 227, Dillashaw versus Garbrandt 2. And now, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a Kung Fu fighter holding a professional record, 13 wins, 3 losses. He stands 6 feet 3 inches tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Fort Worth, Texas, Kevin the Trailblazer Holland. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a striker holding a professional record, 17 wins, 6 losses. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing in at 185 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Michael Beltran.
Michael Beltran on referee. Joe, we had the ill-fated Bruce Buffer fist bump on both sides of this fight tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. John Anik, who's a gambling junkie, has a real serious idea that if you touch gloves with Bruce Buffer, you have a more than 50% chance of losing.
Yes.
But now both guys did it, so it's mute.
Are your opponent?
Tonight's Fight Clock is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925. Santos is in the black trunks. The UFC newcomer Kevin Holland is in white.
Kevin Holland looking remarkably relaxed before the fight starts.
And he's bouncing and he's confident. You saw this in the Contender Series. He was very confident. He was
he got tagged.
Better be careful.
The power of Thiago Santos.
Thiago Santos is throwing everything to finish the fight.
And Thiago looking to take him down. Look at this. Look at this. Is that a flying omoplata? He's trying to go to a shoulder lock here. I've never even seen anybody try to do that.
Holland trains under Ultimate Fighter Season 4 winner Travis Lutter. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu under him. He says when he was an amateur, Lutter kept him financially stable so he could pursue this.
Look at this. Let me tell you something. That is deep.
Oh, Joe!
Let me tell you something.
Joe!
Kevin Holland
Joe,
has got Thiago Santos in some serious trouble. Man, and Santos with some big bombs.
He pissed him off.
Look at Kevin Holland moving though off his back. Very well. Good defense by Holland.
And Holland slaps him.
Oh my goodness. And let me tell you something, Travis Lutter at one point in time was one of the very best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts in the world. He was a phenomenal grappler. And I know many, many people that have trained with him and massive respect for his skill. So for this young man to have a brown belt under him, and look at this, Thiago dropping down bombs on him. He's got to protect himself.
Kevin's doing a good job of keeping his elbows in there.
And he's landing some from the bottom. He landed some very good shots from the bottom there. Thunder from Thiago. Well, Thiago might want to let him up.
Thought about it. Kevin Holland more than willing to stay in a grappling situation. 2 minutes have gone by. Furious pace here to this one early.
Look at the size difference in Kevin Holland and Thiago Santos. Santos is a big 85-pounder.
And you notice Holland laughing, showboating a little bit. He says when he gets nervous, he gets goofy. So that's the way he deals with it.
Oh, jeez.
You don't want to take these shots to Thiago Santos.
Thiago's such a heavy hitter. The elbow sneaks through. I'll tell you though, Kevin is doing a very good job of deflecting a lot of these blows.
He's long and he's using his arms to deflect the blows. And if Thiago Santos isn't careful, he can really wear himself out and empty the gas tank trying to search for a finish that's not truly there.
Holland, a very active pursuer of the submission. Working out of the closed guard here is Santos.
Well, you can see that the way he rolled for that armbar. That was very tight. And Credit to Thiago for getting out of it. And he's well trained. He's doing a good job of deflecting a lot of the power coming off of Santos, but it only takes one to get through.
He's checking now. He got cut.
Oh, he got tagged. Oh, he's hurt.
He's hurt.
Oh, he's hurt. These are big shots from Thiago.
Yep, a lot of those ground strikes getting through.
But now he's starting to land. Now Santos is starting to land. Pass.
Oh, now he's going to give up his back.
Yep. And Thiago's going to take away his grab. But I mean, at this point, when you're Kevin Holland, right? You're a young guy that's just starting. When do you decide to get back to your feet?
Something's happening. He just said something to him.
He's talking to his coaches.
But he said something to Thiago, too.
You know, even after the Contender Series win, you know, he was talking and he was joking, and the boss even said this kid could have finished this fight. You know, he's got to be serious in there, man. You got to be on task. Even if it's only for 15 minutes, you got to be in the moment right now because you got a killer on top of you.
Let's go, guys. Let's work. Yeah, they're having a conversation. Oh!
Even when some of those strikes get partially blocked, they still...
He's having a real hard time with his left eye. His left eye is in trouble.
Kevin Holland back to his feet.
See how he's squinting with his left eye?
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
Big wall attack by Kevin Holland.
Look, Thiago landed some big shots, and who knows how much damage Kevin took there, but I think he's having a real hard time seeing out of that left eye, and that will mess with his depth perception.
Kevin Holland needs to slow down. Oh, body shot just landed. Oh, body shot just landed.
Oh!
Marréta's got all the weapons going here early tonight, maybe thinking about a late takedown in the round. Strong start for the favorite, Thiago Santos. Tonight's Corner Cam is brought to you by Body Armor. Make the switch to Body Armor, the official sports drink of UFC. Try their new UFC flavor, Octagon Orange, exclusively available at 7-Eleven.
Okay, when he gets down in your guard, you got to kick him away. Get your feet in the hips when he gets his head postures up. You know, get your feet in the hips and kick him away. No big deal. No big deal. You look good in the round. He didn't like to stand up. He didn't like to stand up. What's that? What?
I hear you, Coach.
Okay.
And you see, he's taking him down. He's looking for an omoplata right off the bat. And look how tight this arm bar almost is. I mean, this is really close. Thiago did a fantastic job of pulling that arm out, using good defense, and then ferocious ground and pound. Now, when they were talking to each other, the truck isolated it. Kevin Holland was saying, "This sucks. Why are you hitting me so hard?" I mean, he's hilarious.
Yeah, that's the book on Kevin Holland. He's not afraid to be himself in there and feels like he realizes his most success. Looked like he winced there after the body shot from Santos.
Those body kicks are landing hard. No, it's just a different...
Oh, you got kicked low there.
Hey, stand over there. Over there, para allá. Ahí quédate. Ahí.
Mike Beltran showing Portuguese.
Nice, dude. He sounds very confident in talking.
Yeah, he didn't hesitate at all.
You ready to go? Pick him up, okay? Fight!
So Kevin Holland not making use of the allotted 5 minutes to recover. Instead, verbally engaging Thiago Santos once again.
And Kevin Holland once fought Curtis Millender, who fights at 170 in the UFC.
Right.
And nice high kick. You see the size difference between Holland and Santos. Santos is a true big 185 pounder.
Millender is a big 170.
Yes.
Oh, look at that head kick. Oh, he keeps dropping his mouthpiece. No. Put that back in. Don't get crazy, bro. Don't say I don't need
flapping
that.
those gums so much, the mouthpiece.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like a good mouthpiece, honestly.
Yeah.
Look, he's rolling. He's rolling. All right, Kevin is going to have a flashback of round one. He's going to want to get out of this position. And Thiago looks like he's trying to go for a head and arm choke. It's on the wrong side. but if he steps through, he's still in trouble because of the cage. So I don't think he'll be able to complete this unless he really does something to radically change the position. And he looks like he's going to try to do that. He's turning him away. He's turning him away, but he doesn't have the arm choke anymore.
Bro, this is crazy.
Santos, a jiu-jitsu purple belt.
He does have full mount belt. Yeah, and again, you're dealing with Kevin Holland is a brown belt under Travis Luke. He really knows the ground game.
Back to the feet we go, just over 3 minutes here in this second round. Kevin Holland was not fazed by this UFC debut. When we said,
Thiago's throwing some heat at him. Some serious heat.
And everything's landing with so much power.
Oh, look at that left to the body.
Watch your heads, guys. Watch your heads.
But I mean, there's no finesse there by Thiago. He's just wind up and throw. This has become one of those kind of fights.
Pointed the toes into the body there. Santos now changes levels.
Yeah, Thiago looks like he's a solid 20 pounds heavier than Kevin. Now he's dragged him down to the ground, but Kevin looks like he's holding on to a Kimura. I don't think he's got it though. He tried to re-grab, and now Thiago's on top of him. He's turtled up. This could be the beginning of the end.
He's got to move. If you're Holland, you got to move right now. You can't stay in this bad position. You got to collect the hand. Start trying to stand up and isolate a hand to break the lock.
Oh, and he goes up high, and then elbow as well. Boy.
Looked like Santos got tagged there. And now a knee for Kevin Holland. Holland hanging in there.
He can start to knee now.
He's not out of this, and he explodes. And that was very sneaky of him. Like, he looks like he goes limp. Like, look at him. It's almost like his legs are really close together. He's not defending. He goes limp, and then he explodes. Like, when he's relaxing, he's really relaxing.
He's still dangerous.
Yes.
He's still dangerous.
Still
it doesn't
dangerous.
look like he's defending the position, but he doesn't look like he's defending the position, but he's ready to explode at any moment.
Yep, he's separating the arms. He's looking for that Kimura again. Again, as we said before. Oh, he may have it. Okay, he doesn't have the control position.
He has the elbow.
He's got side control. Big elbows.
Wow, look at Kevin Holland.
So the tide has turned here late in round 2, less than a minute to go. Holland has Santos flattened out here.
Landed some nice short elbows.
A lot of people thought Holland was a live underdog tonight, closing around plus 270, trying to mount here. Santos prevents it.
He's stepping over. Wow, good top control here by Kevin. And he might have the choke. He might be going for that guillotine with the left side.
Oh, right there, he's in the cow catcher. Wrestling move, use the head pinch. Lift the elbow to reverse the position. Good finish to round 2 for Kevin Holland.
And he fights in his natural weight class. A lot of his teammates have said he could make 70, but he'd rather not cut the weight. Will he be the fresher fighter in round 3? Very interesting development there late in the second round.
Right here, you see the takedown from Thiago Santos, driving him to the fence, securing the takedown in top position. Look at this big body kick. Boom! Toes landed. Holland fades back to the fence. Thiago goes back to a takedown. But then at the end of the round, Kevin Holland started to find success. Attacked that Kimura to change the position. Ended on top, landing elbows. That's a very positive sign if you're a team Kevin Holland.
Give me the right hand, okay?
He can handle good power. You can win this, bro. You gotta find it, man. You gotta find it, okay? Yes, sir.
Grab that stool, thank you.
Third and final round of this UFC debut for Kevin Holland. Turned pro back in 2015. Some suggested he was getting thrown to the wolves here. Short notice opportunity tonight.
All right, gentlemen.
But Holland is in this fight against the 13th ranked middleweight in the world, Thiago Marréeta Santos. Appreciative LA crowd. Third round underway.
And Holland has done a great job adjusting and dealing with the cut from round one. Earlier, it looked like that was going to be the thing that distracted him, and he wouldn't be able to continue to fight, but now he's dealt with it, and he's gotten back on track as the fight's going on.
But this, again, not a lot of finesse to this. These guys are literally just standing right in front of each other and choosing when to swing. Like right there. Oh!
Thiago's got to be very careful when he goes to the body because his right hand's a little bit low, and Holland's throwing a nice check left hook. Step over the trip by Santos, gets the takedown to top control again.
Okay. I got an idea.
Looked like a capoeira kick attempt there a moment ago from Santos. That was his first martial art. Eventually transitioned MMA and Muay Thai. He was looking for something more aggressive, not a shocker there. Good ground and pound here. 8 takedown attempts for Santos already. He secured 3 of them.
The victory here, if Santos should get it, does kind of highlight why this is a very risky fight for him.
Yeah.
Because it does almost nothing to elevate his status. He basically stays in the same position.
Yep.
He's fighting a guy who's making his UFC debut. And although it's a great fight and a lot of fun and entertaining, look at this. He's looking for that arm choke again. He's high on it, though.
But even if he wins, right, and Kevin Holland, by being so game and being in the fight at any moment, he gains in the situation more than Thiago does.
Especially considering that it's his debut on pay-per-view against Thiago. So why are people booing? He's that close to securing a choke. There he goes, on top.
Nice job by Holland to buck Santos off.
Oh! He's the wild man. He's in there just having fun.
He enjoys it, man. He's told us as much.
Stop, stand up, let's go.
Michael Beltran, no nonsense, standing the fighters back up as we approach the midpoint of this third and final round. Left hand from Santos is true, now the elbow.
Wow.
Oh,
Santos
oh my goodness.
teeing off. Look at Kevin Holland is still game.
He took that shot that time, though, because he was getting beat up.
Thiago's under the neck. He's under the neck here. He's trying to do a head and arm choke, or he was trying to do that front choke, where he's trapping the head in the front of his chest. He let it go, spun to the back.
Right here, if Thiago's smart, he would try to reach across with his left hand to grab Holland's left wrist. Then that would open him up to get some punches, because then Kevin couldn't roll to his back.
Thiago's full mount now.
Still plenty of time with which to work here for Santos out of the mount.
It's certainly a fun fight to watch. It's certainly an impressive performance by Santos and an exciting debut for Kevin Holland. But again, it highlights why this is a dangerous fight for Thiago to take.
And why Thiago hasn't gotten the fights that he's won, right? He can't get any of the higher ranked guys to fight him because they don't want to risk their ranking. This is the same situation.
There are going to be a lot of physical challenges for Kevin Holland in this middleweight division. Perhaps adding some muscle would serve him well moving forward. Doesn't seem to have any intentions of moving down to 70.
This is a better attempt at the side choke here. This is a better attempt at the arm triangle.
But
it's not as hard.
Okay, now he's
got to get to the side. Now he's got to get his flat. He got to get his chest down and pressure forward into Holland. He's got to get his chest down.
Show me your Kevin. Show me your Kevin.
Look at that. That's tight. That's tight, Joe.
That's very tight.
If Thiago can drive pressure forward a little bit, he'll get the submission.
You got to wonder. Oh, wow. He snuck out the back.
Good job by Kevin Holland.
I was going to say, you got to wonder how much Thiago's actually squeezing it. And now look at this. Thiago's going to go into a gator roll. Wow.
If he controls something on the opposite side, Kevin Holland can't roll to his back. That's one critique of Thiago Santos in that back position. He's not grabbing anything.
Well, and I think from that head and arm choke, I think his arms are so gassed out, he didn't have the energy to squeeze it. And I think that was part of the problem with finishing that.
It's crazy that Kevin Holland took this fight 2 weeks ago. John, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
This is a tough guy.
And for Thiago Santos, that should be enough to preserve his ranking. Strong output from Marréeta here tonight. Significant strike advantage, 68-23 against a very hungry and game UFC newcomer, Kevin Holland.
Wow. It was a lot of fun and a very dangerous fight. And here's the first round, a takedown. And look at this. Tries to roll into an omoplata, which you just rarely see. Almost gets this arm bar, and that is very tight. Credit to Thiago for getting out of that. And then nasty ground and pound. This is all in the first round. Now, here's another Santos takedown. And look at this nasty body kick. And here's where Kevin Holland reversed him with the Kimura. That was a beautiful moment in round 2. Got that Kimura, reversed him, put him in a side control. Boom. Kevin Holland's yelling at us over here.
I know.
Well, he wants you to know that
he's trying to get my attention.
He wants you to know he's still handsome.
He is still handsome. Now here's the end of the fight. He's got this head and arm choke attempt, but I don't think Thiago had any gas left in his arms. He really just couldn't squeeze. But excellent performance by Thiago, a dangerous fight, and Kevin Holland's an interesting guy. Very, very game.
Kevin Trailblazer Holland, 5-year-old son Cameron. A lot of family support in the building for Kevin Holland here tonight, and a valuable 15-minute experience for the newcomer tonight. The official decision is brought to you by Metro PCS. Get knockout coverage of the UFC on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Bruce Buffer to make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for decision. The judges score the contest 29-27, 29-27, and 29-26 for the winner by unanimous decision, Thiago Marréeta Santos.
Good job, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very good.
All right, I'm here with the winner, Thiago Santos. First of all, Thiago, this was a risky fight for you. You're ranked number 13 in the world. You're fighting a dangerous guy in his UFC debut. Why the decision to take this fight?
Thiago, essa foi uma coisa arriscada que você fez. Você está ranqueado como número 13, você pegou uma luta arriscada. Por que você assumiu esse risco?
Pô, vou falar o quê? Eu só tenho a agradecer esse menino. Pô, menino novo ainda, tem um futuro grande aí pela frente. Duro demais, aguentou a luta toda. Eu vim de uma perca de peso de 3 semanas atrás, que eu estava de reserva para a luta do Adesanya com o Brett Tavares. Aceitei essa luta aqui com esse menino que nem ranqueado está estreando no UFC. Mas na verdade eu não estou reclamando, eu estou agradecendo pela oportunidade. Eu enfrento qualquer um, eu não enxergo, não cito o nome, eu luto com qualquer um, então por isso que eu aceitei, pelo público, pelo Brasil. Obrigado a todos.
What a tough kid, you know, I accepted it because I needed to fight, I wanted to fight. I came off already a weight cut 3 weeks ago because I was runner-up for Tavares. And you know, I come to fight, I come to give a show, I'm here to fight. I do not deny any opponents. Anybody comes to fight me, I'll fight.
This was a very, very entertaining fight. Were you surprised he was able to absorb so much punishment? Because you hit him with some bombs.
Você ficou surpreso que ele aguentou de tanta punição?
Yes, of course, fiquei muito surpreso. Ele aguentou bastante. Ele fala muito, brinca muito durante a luta, mas isso não tira meu foco. Como eu falei antes da luta, isso não ia mudar nada. O meu foco de tentar nocautear ele, de tentar vencer a luta, não ia mudar nada nisso.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. He plays around, but I wasn't going to lose my focus. I keep on fighting, but it was a good fight.
Congratulations, sir. Look forward to seeing you again.
Bom, eu não sei até quando eu vou ficar ainda nessa divisão dos médios. Eu estou pensando em subir, mas eu ainda tenho alguns caras para enfrentar nessa categoria. Em novembro, dia 3 de novembro, esses caras vão estar lutando em Nova York. Eu vou manter meu peso baixo, vou manter treinando. E se qualquer um deles tiver problema, que eu sei que eles têm problema, eles não gostam de lutar muito. E se algum deles tiver problema, é só o UFC me chamar.
I'll be ready for 3rd of November. If anybody gets hurt, I'm ready to come in and fight any one of them.
Congratulations. Thiago Santos, ladies and gentlemen.
Marréeta is always ready. He has won 5 of his last 6. Santos getting his 10th UFC win tonight, champ.